I'm trying to wake up too, but we're gonna make this fun and engaging. My name's Duquette Johnston. I am the Economic Vitality Director for Woodlawn United here in Woodlawn, and also co-owner of Club Duquette, a lifestyle brand with my wife Morgan. We had a brick and mortar here in Woodlawn for almost a decade, and her family was in the garment industry for 7 generations. Very long time. And so I just want to give you my brief background, but today we're going to have conversations about everything from manufacturing, marketing, fun stuff, storytelling. So this will be a conversation amongst all of us, and I hope that my plan is to wrap this up not quickly, but in time for y'all to ask a lot of questions for our amazing panelists. So I'm going to let each one of them introduce themselves first. First up, we have Olivia Anthony from Live Streetwear.
Hi, everybody. My name is Olivia Anthony. I'm the CEO and founder of The Streetwear. It is a unisex brand based off 90s to be bold, be free for people who like to stand outside of the box. And then I also just launched The Raw Edit like a month ago. It's a boutique based off the people who follow me. They're asking what they need and I provide it for them. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
Cool. Next up is Raymond Lassiter from Voltron Printing.
Hey everybody, I'm Raymond Lassiter. I'm originally from the south side of Chicago. I have Voltron Printing, which is basically down the street. You can walk to it. I've been in fashion currently now almost 30 years in streetwear. So I'm excited to be here, excited to be among these amazing designers and fashion people. So yeah, let's have fun.
All right, Aisha, you're up next.
All right, guys. Woo, so loud. Okay, my name is Aisha Taylor, and I am the founder and CEO of a men's boutique, Bridge and Root. We actually just closed our brick and mortar in April, but we still have a very bold website. It's still moving pieces, which I'm really excited about. And I'm also a fashion stylist, and like this gentleman here, I've actually been in fashion for about 30 years. So I'm happy to be here.
I love it. There's a lot of history up here, and Alabama has a huge history in textiles going all the way back. I mean, for multiple, decades and decades, with Avondale Mills in 1897, Russell Mills, Coleman Industries up in Coleman. Florence was the sock capital of the world. So I'm not sure how much y'all know about the history, but look it up sometime. I have high hopes that we can bring back, when people talk about manufacturing, I would really love, and I know some of these people would be interested in this, like the idea of bringing back textile manufacturing to Alabama. It's an incredible place to do it. And there's a one brand I'll just mention real quick, Imogene Willie. They're up in Nashville, but they just did a project that touches in Alabama, Tennessee. It was Alabama, South Carolina, and Tennessee. They did a T-shirt and jean project where everything was grown, cut, and sewn within a 400-mile radius. So, that's rarely done these days. All right, but let's get into some questions. All right, Raymond, for you.
I'm not even from this place.
That's all right. No, it's not just about here. It's just about your knowledge and history. We don't even have to talk about like the history of Alabama. I want to talk about Legacy Threads. That's a line that honors the Negro Southern League Baseball League with vintage style gear. I would love to hear about your process of like researching for that and how you're executing that collaboration.
Basically, Alabama is known for the civil rights movement. It has a strong legacy. And one thing, when I first was about to move down here, I called a lot of my industry friends, and they basically said, why the hell are you going to Alabama? Like, all of them. And I was like, you know what? Because of the legacy. It's something here, and I'm adamant about telling them we need to come back. So when I came down here, I did a lot of research. Everybody told me to go to like certain landmarks, like the Negro Southern League. I played baseball at a very high level, so it was always a part. I didn't want to be a fashion designer. I wanted to play baseball. So when I had the opportunity to go to the Negro Southern League, it just resonated with me. It's talked to me, it spoke to me. So it was like, how can I do a creative project? Because a lot of kids and a lot of African Americans don't want to play baseball. And with me being in fashion, I'm like, well, this is my opportunity to at least give them something that they can buy, and then I start asking questions. So my design process was like just doing research. You know, I wanted to pay homage, but also I wanted to put me into it. So I merged the two. It was like, okay, I kept it sleek. I wanted to be whereas it wasn't busy, because a lot of people, fashion is changing. It's always evolving. So right now, a lot of people don't like a lot of things all over their clothing. So I kept it very simplistic, because when you see NSLM, you say, what is that? It speaks for itself. It's Negro Southern League. I don't have to make nothing crazy. The Negro players already did the hard work for me. All I got to do is keep it dope. And I had this project was one of the projects that I say it touched me the most out of everything that I ever designed, even working with LRG. This don't even top the level of that. This project is my passion project now.
Tell everybody a little bit about LRG real quick.
I mean, I met Jonas, who was the founder of LRG, because we used to go to Magic Show in the early 2000s. And Jonas was when you went to LA, it was a part of the Magic Show called the Sands. That's the place with like brands that you didn't know you just went to. So I met Jonas on a picnic table. And I was like, man, what's LRG? He was like, me and my boy started it. He was like, man, I think I could make a lot of money with it. And we just became really good friends. And at the end of LRG, it was worth $300 million. So that's basically what he started his brand. He started his brand on a picnic table, but he had the vision and he had the fortitude and he had the faith to be like, this is going to make it. And while staying in contact, he allowed me to design collections for him, like for become a freelance designer for LRG. And it taught me a lot about streetwear. So he passed, unfortunately, you know, but you know, whenever I get like a designer block, I can hear his voice. And then, you know, it keeps me going. So thank you for that, Duquette.
Yeah, man. I think like one thing that it like really speaks out in any business, and we're touching on fashion, but business, that no one's built anything totally alone. No one's built anything just in a silo. And so like collaborations are amazing, and partnerships and people you work with, whether it's like finding the right brands to connect with, like Aisha does, or like manufacturing stuff. So now I'm going to move to you, Olivia, and ask you a little bit about manufacturing. Early on, I know you like worked with like local screen printers for one-offs. As things started to grow for your like how did you vet partners to work with? How are you like making sure people you're collaborating with have the capacity to maintain the quality that you like of the work that you're doing?
Okay, well, I got my very first manufacturer in New York City. I used to live in New York for 8 years. And when I tell you closed mouths don't get fed, I literally was walking down Franklin Avenue. I saw this boutique who had like a yellow carpet and a whole bunch of dope outfits. I was like, yo, how do y'all get these brands in here? I was like, I have a clothing line. And it was like, yeah, we have our own manufacturer line. Let me see some of your designs. And I just showed a couple of pieces of my t-shirts and literally talked to the guy from China. His brother was in China. He ran it. And we had a meeting, and that was my very first collection, which was my love letter to the culture, which was inspired by Freaknik. And that is what set me up for like wearing Sizzle wearing it and it being in Vogue. And so it's just like being open and making sure that you're letting people know what you're doing got me into the manufacturer. But I learned a lot with manufacturers because I think being a woman and being young at the time, they kind of not took me for granted, but you have to make sure you have everything on contracts because they were like, oh, you owe this. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I owe this much. And I think they were trying to take advantage of me and we lost the relationship. And it was sad because they had my minimum. They knew the fabric that I like. It was just like a very good, wow. It was a very good relationship. And it showed me that you have to have more than one manufacturer because it kind of had me in limbo for a very long time. And
how old were you when
I started like when I was like 25, 26.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I feel like I looked younger at the time. Like I looked like a baby. So they were like, yeah, let's try to see if we get over on her. And
well, I mean, you bring up a really good thing, like with like, no matter what the business is, like contracts are key for everything, especially when it comes to manufacturing. There's like a long, I can give you a long list of people I know that have been burned because they didn't have a contract with the factory. Like everything from like small scale to hundreds of thousands of dollars and more. And I'm also a musician in the music business too. So like contracts are huge. Like two things I think everybody should always have when they start a business is a really good attorney and a really good accountant. Like that's your that's your foundation. All right, Aisha, let me ask you a question here. From going from storefront to styling, and really, I mean, styling came before storefront. Like, how did your history with like styling and curating and working in retail like help guide you into opening your first storefront? And now how are you taking that into play with like one-on-one styling consulting?
So again, being in retail and in the fashion industry for so long, and I'll just tell you guys, I worked with Saks Fifth Avenue, BCBG Mix Azria, a lot of Ralph Lauren, traveling the country. But when you work in retail, you get to know people. And if you're really good at what you do, you pay attention and you listen and you get to know the people. And so being in retail, opening up my shop, but prior to opening up my shop, the reason why I opened it up as a men's boutique is because men, number one, they don't really have anywhere to go to shop that doesn't look like cookie cutter boring, right? And so I'm always thinking outside of the box, and I like to do things that are different and unique. And I want people to feel comfortable in their skin, right? And be authentic and wear what feels good to them. And so talking to people and having conversations with people, I get to know them. Like I'm not going to put the same thing on Bob that I put on John, right? I don't care if the outfit to me is super dope. If that's not his thing, that's not his thing. But I'm also going to push the envelope because if you come to me, don't think I'm going to put you in a button up that's striped with some khaki pants. I'm not the one for you if that's the look you're going for. But also, I'm not going to put you in something that Pharrell would wear if that's not your vibe either. So, I mean, it was an easy transition for me because I love fashion anyway, and I'm really good at like understanding and listening and paying attention to people. So, you know, having Bridge and Root, you know, you're a stylist anyway. And when you curate your shop, you buy things, you listen, right? You pay attention to, you know, what people are wanting, what people need, but you also stay true to yourself and your brand. Like you're not going to find, you know, just basic button-up shirts in my store. You need to go to Bilk. Okay. But if you're coming in here and you have no idea what you're doing, you have no idea what to put together, I'm going to help you get there. So it's really easy for me because I think I pay attention to people and I think, you know, I listen.
You touched a little bit on something I wanted to talk with all of y'all about because I want to make sure that all of this is connecting into like how you're taking ideas and like having impact with them, how you're putting them into play. How important is it that your relationships from your customer to people you're talking to, listening? Like, I would love to hear just a little bit of knowledge from each of y'all about any standout points or like moments where you really learned something just from like being present with a customer.
I think when people say that business isn't personal, that's a lie.
Straight up. Say that again.
Business is very personal. So when people say that, like for me, when I first started in this industry, I used to just go to streetwear stores and sit. I didn't buy anything for years until the owners used to be like, hey man, are you ever going to buy anything? I said, I don't got nothing to buy, but I'm trying to get in the industry. And they said, you know what? We're going to teach you this game. And that's basically was my first teachers, was store owners. Every day say, if you come here every day, I'm going to teach you everything that I know. So when I listen to customers, that's why I think sometimes social media and internet is a disconnect. Because when your customers came to your store, they was the people that told you what was hot on the street. They'd be like, why don't you put this in your store? And you'd be like, okay, if 10 people said that, then that's the item that you needed to buy. Or they'd be like, man, ain't nobody wearing those shoes no more. That's the stuff you shouldn't buy. But going through social media, everybody likes everything. So now it's hard for store owners or designers to even understand the industry because it's so fast. So it's like some days I'm glad that I have a store because I have personal relationships with people. So it's like, hey man, can we do a shirt like this? And with me being a designer, I could do it next week. Like, yeah, okay, we're gonna make this shirt for you. And that's the way that we can grow the industry, and also we could build those relationships with the next generation.
Love that. Olivia, anything?
Yeah, I feel like for me,
I mean, you kind of did it. You walked into a store and asked them. I mean, like, but I would love to hear something else.
I feel like with Raw Edit, like specifically, it has helped because me just teaching line dances and wearing what I was wearing, and people be like, "Hey, I need you to go and get that and like sell it." I feel like when you listen to the comments, you get an easier result of like what works and what doesn't. When it's harder when you're doing a manufacturer because you're kind of dealing with time because people get it stuff so easily, and you're dealing with a manufacturer where it's just like it takes months. So it's like people rip off stuff so easily that you might not make the curve. So I feel like it's two different extremes when it comes down to like clientele, where it's just like if fast fashion, it works because you can listen to your client, you can give them what they need quicker. When it comes down to you being a creative and having to deal with a manufacturer, it's a little bit more of a time and like money and overhead. And so a lot of like designers are kind of, struggling when it comes down to that because of fast fashion. So
People are ripping off
everything.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, literally on any intellectual property, things are getting ripped off rapid fire these days. You post it, someone else that has the backing and the connections can make it faster than most anybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something to your question, but kind of off of the question. You have to be hungry and you have to be intentional. Okay, so people may not always say something to you, but you have to ask questions, right? You have to ask questions. And when you're out networking, don't waste your time. If you're not going to talk to people, you might as well stay at home. Okay. Because so many times I've heard or seen people post on Facebook, oh, they only wanted them because they know them. Yeah, that's how it works. So you have to get out and you have to meet people. You have to be intentional. You have to introduce yourself. I don't personally care if you don't have the guts and the balls to walk up to people and say, hello, how are you? My name is XYZ. If you get left by the wayside, that's your fault. You can't blame anyone else if you don't have the balls to do that. Okay. And I see a lot of young faces in here, but you're getting schooled early. Okay. There are people that are 40 and 50 still complaining that, oh, well, they didn't pick me because they don't know me. That's kind of how it goes.
You got to talk to people.
You have to be intentional. You have to be hungry. If you don't know something, ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't ever be afraid.
Yeah, you have to ask questions.
Raymond, you got something?
Yeah, people always talk about Virgil from Off-White, and I knew Virgil. We grew up together. And one thing people don't understand about Virgil, he was everywhere. He worked for free. He worked with Don C at Gallery. They did not pay Virgil, but he was a sponge. He worked with me at J Boogie. We would just go there and just not get paid. So when you see the evolution of Virgil, Virgil did the hard work and he did not complain. If you told Virgil, I want you to sweep the floor, Virgil swept the floor. If you told him, I want you to stitch these buttons, Virgil did that. And now some people that come in the store, they want it, but they don't want to do the work that you have to do, nor do they feel like they're entitled, like they're supposed to be there. But I know people that put in the work and the time and the effort, just like this young lady just said. You can't be afraid because clothing is 95% business, 5% fashion. That's the fashion business. It is a business. And like Olivia just said, these monsters are coming to get you. I've been at shows with my good friend had a brand called Moschine. They were out of Philadelphia. They used to paint the shirts back in the day all the rappers had on. We went to a magic show and a Chinese cat came to their booth. It was like, man, your brand looked really nice. And he was taking pictures. Next season, He knocked off their brand and put his booth right next to theirs.
Oh yeah,
That's the fashion game.
it's ruthless out there. When
It's
we had
ruthless.
Club Duquette, I had someone come in one time. It was asking me all these questions, and they didn't know that I knew who they worked for. A company out of South Carolina, backed by a bigger company that does $36 billion a year in revenue, asking me for a source for their bandanas. And I just kind of laughed. I was like, you have way more resources than I do. If you cannot figure out a way to make bandanas, like you maybe shouldn't be working for the company you're working for. But I'm going to sort of stay with that theme for one more second, because I think there's a delicate balance of like, you got to listen to your customer, but how are you like maintaining being true to your story and your brand's identity? Because I see so many small business owners. This is just a pet peeve of mine. Maybe I'm like just letting it air out right here. But like when people ask the public what direction they should, like, what else should I carry? You have to have confidence and believe in what you're curating, because I think some people ask for so much input that it gets skewed and it takes them off path, right? So how are you stay connected to your story, and how are you making sure that your story is coming across the right way through what you do? Olivia, we'll start with you.
I love storytelling. Like, I love bringing people into my world. My whole goal for myself is to stay in my lane, because when you start swerving, then you get lost in the sauce. And people be like, oh, how did you get the Foot Locker collab? How you get this collab? They found me because I was so immersed in my own world and just bringing people in and drawing them in. I'm just like, I want to tell people about, like, when you do have that moment, you could make a collection called the Alabama Made, and bringing them into your space and making sure you stay true to yourself, even if you're at the table with them, is easier to like stay alive. But like, I always be like, I have a destination, God gonna get me there. It may take time, but I'd rather something be longevity than quick and easy and forgettable. So
stay in your lane.
stay in your lane. That's me.
Can I chime in?
Please.
So I am, I guess, kind of what you would call a serial entrepreneur as well. So I also have a brand called Element and Vibe. And so it's an empowerment t-shirt company. And so I started in 2016, and this was in response to Trayvon Martin getting murdered, right? I started with about 4 t-shirts, and then it just got really big, got connected with Essence magazine and all of the things. But I had people coming to me saying, because they were black t-shirts with bold white writing, right? And so I had people coming to me, can you make this in a green? I would like a V-neck. What about a blue? Literally. However, staying true to my brand and what I saw in my head, because at this point, my tees are recognizable. If you're familiar with Element and Vibe, when you see a t-shirt, it's Element and Vibe, because I stayed true to that. I didn't change the color font. People were asking me, can you put something on the back? Can you make something for my family reunion? Literally, but again, staying true to the brand, not shifting, not changing colors, keeping it a crew neck. And this is how I was able to recognize a knockoff. Someone stole a design that came up out of my head because I know it. I saw them walking out of Foot Action at the Galleria with a V-neck t-shirt on. That's not my shirt. And so I asked her, I said, where'd you get that shirt? Oh, somebody made it for me. I saw this t-shirt online and I liked the saying. So anyway, to your point, just basically staying in your lane, because at the end of the day, sometimes there's literally nothing that you can do when people knock certain things off. I mean, it's nothing you can do. That's a whole nother story, but.
Yeah, and I think it's harder to grow your brand if you're like constantly shifting. Mm-hmm. If you're constantly getting lost, like, oh, well, I got to go this direction because everybody thinks I go this way. Like some of the people that I think have had the best longevity in fashion are people that just stick to it, right? No matter what. And they build other people up. I mean, how many designers, Black, white, Latino, have all come out of Ralph Lauren? Dozens and dozens. And Ralph has always stayed Ralph, right? Hey, listen, but they make it Ralph, like all day long. I want to touch a little bit on production. because all of y'all deal in production stuff from Element and Vibe, from everything that you and Kwamel are doing. And we're sending out lots of good love to Kwamel. He's been in the hospital sick, so I'm glad he's coming home today. That's Raymond's brother that he works with. Yeah, you can clap. That's good. Yeah, good energy up here. But how do y'all keep up with production and tracking and making sure that you stay on pace for deliveries? Like when you're doing a collaboration and you're taking online orders, how are you tracking all this? How are you keeping up?
That's a good question because my friend from Aku just texted me and said things are jacked up right now because of tariffs. Like all Aku's summer, fall is still in China. So I'm piggybacking to your connections. Having those connections in the industry now put a bug in my ear, like maybe I need to slow down production because if Aku can't get his stuff out of China, what am I going to do with my production? So to do it, you always have to keep your connection with people so you always can stay abreast, so you understand and have relationships with your manufacturers. That's the best thing to have because they'll call you and say, hey, cotton's going up, satin's going up, fleece is going up. Hey, start adjusting your prices. So that's why we said relationships are always key and understanding your business. Having your friends that can say, hey, man, don't drop no T-shirts. Don't drum out with no black tees because ain't nobody buying that. Because at the end of the day, fashion is an expensive industry to get in. It's very expensive. So having those connections can help you and also help you save money.
Do you like on tariffs real quick, and then we'll go to everybody else on the question on production. How are you shifting when that happens? Like, because American made goods cost way more money. I mean, the cost of the labor is more. Yes, there's American made goods, but some people don't understand the cost of it. So how are you just keeping your eyes on suppliers from all over? Like, how do you keep tuned into that?
I mean, it's basically like gumbo. I got suppliers in LA. I got suppliers in Pakistan. I got suppliers in Vietnam. I got a supplier right now in India. I could call him right now. He's going to answer the phone. And he's saying, well, we're not going to charge you the tariffs. So you just got to have those relationships so you can always keep your product at a price so your consumer can buy it. Because one thing I tell you, I can't compete with the machine. I can't compete with Nike. I can't compete with Adidas. I can't compete with Ralph Lauren because they already have infrastructure. What I mean, they own their manufacturing. So that's something in what we do. I don't own manufacturing. So until I can't control the prices, but I do have the relationships.
Yeah, they're fully vertical. I mean, like, and some of them even from the mill to the floor. It's like what Imogene and Willie just did. They worked with a farmer to plant this cotton in North Alabama, like, and work on it. Regenerative farmer. They like leased a bunch of the land. Like, they literally controlled the whole thing. So tariff hits, it doesn't bother them at all. Olivia, how do you handle that? Like tracking production and make it like, is there a software you're using? How do you keep up with production?
I use Shopify.
Yep.
Everybody use Shopify. It is an easy machine. It tells you your numbers. It helps you with everything in the back end. I'm a one-man show with my business partner, Ricky. So he does like all the front end and all the shipping. It's me. And then when it comes down to production and manufacturing, that's why I'm in LA to find like
closer to the source.
Yeah. So, and then I'm all about pivoting. Like, you have to pivot when it's a situation, make the best of it. But yeah, I feel like we're going to get through this whole tariff thing. Y'all don't let that stop y'all show. Don't let it scare y'all. One piece at a time and let it go. So yeah.
You got anything on that, Aisha?
I could speak to that. Even though I am not in my brick and mortar anymore, the plans I had were a pivoted plan. Okay. And I can say I'm happy things worked out the way that they did because of the tariffs. But I can tell you this: my plan was to simply carry showpieces. Okay. Because again, like he said, fashion is a very expensive industry because you can buy a run of sizes and they love this one. This one sells out in 2 weeks. This one, not so much. Okay. And so you have to sit on that one, either put it on sale or figure out what to do with it. So my mentality had to shift. And so, okay, at this point, let me do showpieces. And if you like this, let me order it for you, order your size. That way I'm saving, not having to invest all of this money in this piece that you may or may not like. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think some people understand, like when they walk into a retail, the upfront investment, especially when you're ordering a whole season ahead.
A whole season
like
ahead.
the way it's still set up, and I think personally think it's insanely outdated, especially as climate has changed and weather's changed. People are shipping winter in July, and it's summer here until like October or November. You know, like that was a really good like idea to shift to that, because the upfront cost, and I think everybody that's interested in fashion needs to understand like how much investment goes in to hold that inventory on the front end.
And I can say to you right now, with my website still moving the way it is, you know, we still ship things out, but it's more of a drop shipping.
Yeah.
Okay. That way I'm not having to invest a lot of money into all of these things. Now, I still have some things, you know, from the brick and mortar shop that people literally are still ordering, but I also do drop shipping. So
you're curating online, and then it's a smart business move. Like curating online, you don't have to carry the cost.
right.
You know, maybe it's not as high of a profit,
that's
but
right.
it's less risk of losing a massive amount of money.
And it gives people confidence that you know how to put stuff together.
Absolutely.
And that the things that they see on your site, oh, I can go to this site because she's always going to have something dope or cool or unique on here, because I'm not going to put everything on there, but it's going to be the things that I will actually put in my physical store.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I know that right before the pandemic, for some reason, my wife and I could never get our Levi's order turned in on time. And we sold a ton of Levi's premium, higher end Levi's. Most people don't know Levi's has 4 tiers: mass produce, Levi's premium entry level, Levi's made and crafted, and then LVC. And LVC sort of gone. But we, for some reason, just life, we couldn't get it together and get our order in. We missed the deadline. And thank goodness we missed it, because we would have been sitting on like $40,000 worth of denim. Yeah. Thank you for that response.
It's expensive to get into.
Yeah. And then you're just sitting there and everybody's at home. Nobody's wearing denim. Everybody was in pajamas and shorts. So like sometimes the miss is a gift.
Yes.
Right?
It is.
Like don't always freak out about
Don't.
it. And I'm saying that because I did freak out about it, but it ended up being a huge blessing that we didn't turn in this order. One other thing I really wanted to touch on that we talked about briefly in there was like growth and scale, right? Everybody always talks about how are you going to scale? And that can mean a multitude of different things. But I've always like wondered what happened to the idea of building something sustainable. Like maybe not everybody is meant to scale. Maybe some people are just trying to build a business that feeds their family, takes care of their community. Hopefully they can own a building, because I think that's a huge thing in retail and clothing, that we got to get people back into ownership, because the old model of the old school retailers, their day-to-day sales fed their family. Their retirement was the building. They have an asset. They can rent it. They can sell it. They can make money. So how do y'all feel about growth and scaling? Like, do you have aspirations of like trying to like scale up, bring in investors? There, yeah, I love the head shake, because that's a whole other issue of like people talking into you and telling you what to do. What do you think the risks are of scaling?
You can lose yourself. I mean, honestly, my dad be like, you don't need an investor. I'm your investor. I'm like, Dad, we gotta keep it going. But it's like when you have an investor, people can change your whole identity. It can go from something that you love to something you hate. And for me, as I get older, I'm like, yeah, I kind of want like a chill life. I'm like, back in the days, like I want to show them a line and I want to be this huge designer. And I think I do, but I know like financially, I just want to be stable, and I just want to be able to bring my vision to the front and inspire people. And if I could do that, that's enough for me. But you never know. Y'all might see me at Tokyo.
I mean, look, there's people that are doing like really limited things, and it almost on some level makes it more desirable. They're like, no, I'm not going to let you come invest, but if you want to do this collab with me, I'll do it. But I'm not looking to.
The collab thing is interesting because I feel like with Foot Locker, they took me on this high and then I got dropped because it's like I'm trying to hit a demand that only a machine can do. So it's just kind of like a give and take when it comes down to even collaborating with people too.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
I think the one thing people don't understand, like when you scale, like Duquette just touched on, here come the sharks. I mean, you know, I've been in a lot of companies. Like I worked with Fubu back in the day when Damon got picked up with Samsung. People don't understand that. Like for him to be in all those stores, he had to sell off a part of himself. And that's what you do, especially being a minority, you know, black fashion designer, because a lot of us don't have the manufacturing power. So we'll get these, you'll go to a show and get $100 million worth of sales. How you produce that? So here come the dude that y'all all say is the nerd in the dockets with the checkered shirt saying, hey, I want 95% of your company, but we'll produce it. And that's the part of the business. So like Olivia just said, just understanding like your lane, like you may not want to be that big. Can you handle that big? Do you have the infrastructure that is going to take? Do you have the marketing? Do you have the litigation? Because now when you get that big, everybody sees it. So you got everybody lawyer trying to sue you. So at the end of the day, you got to take that. That's why I said planning is good. Have a plan on paper to understand, okay, if I make $100,000, is that sustainable? If I make $100 million, is that sustainable? And build the infrastructure now through relationships. Because when you become a $100 million company, you have a lot of eyes on you. And you have a lot of people gunning for you. So I say start off. I'm from the era of doing it like guerrilla style. We did it very meticulous. We took one T-shirt and got 2 T-shirts, and took 2 T-shirts and got 10. And then we grew it organically. Now it's like, it's cool to grow fast, but at the end of the day, like Olivia just said, as fast as they take you, they'll drop you.
In a heartbeat.
And then they'll blackball you. So you call your phone, they be like, oh man, I just talked to them last week. They like, well, we don't know you no more. So that's the part of the game that we're trying to tell the younger generation, it's real. It's real.
So I think differently a little bit.
Cool. Let's talk.
I think big most times, and I'm not saying that others don't think big, but I don't want to stop. Okay, I want to keep going. Now, you have to have processes in place, and you have to pay attention to what you are doing. And like you said earlier, when we first set up here, you have to have an accountant. And you have to have, what did we say, accountant?
A lawyer.
Yes, and an attorney. Those are very important, but that's just the way my mind works. I never like stop. That's just how I am. I am always looking to the like, what's next? But, you know, I want to make sure this is good to go first, and then I'm, you know, ready to press
Sure.
it.
I mean, I think there takes like a whole level of self-awareness, you know what I mean? Where some people get pushed in a direction where maybe it's more detrimental to them. Like I really try to think about
That would be me for sure.
Do you think it happens to you?
No, if I am just not moving, something happens to my
You don't like
soul.
it.
No,
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I have to like keep going and keep thinking and keep trying to figure out like, how do I grow this? How do I, and I don't mean like in rapid fire mode. I don't mean like that, but like getting things squared away here, getting people in place, getting my team in place. You can't do it by yourself for sure.
Absolutely not.
You know, but once I have my processes in place, my people in place, then, you know, what's next?
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to hear you say that. I mean, it's good for us to hear like, you know, we don't all have to agree on what a business model looks like.
Right.
You know, and this is where I think like your mindset is really key for what you want to do in life and what are your priorities in your life and how do you, you know, want it to be. Like some people want to keep moving, some people want to move slow and just steady and have different outlooks, and you got to be confident in that. And it's okay no matter what your lane is. You know, some people want to outsource manufacturing, some people want to do it themselves. I know people that sew one pair of jeans at a time and they're cool with that. Now they may charge like $300 for the pair of jeans because it's taking them a long time. You know what I mean? And sometimes smaller, you can control your profits more. Like if you're making it yourself versus like mass scale or opening multiple retail locations. Opening more locations does not always mean more money, right? Because suddenly now you got more rent. Now you got more payroll. Now you got more inventory to hold on to. Like sometimes one solid location, especially with e-commerce now, like having your hub where you can build community is key. Like that's something Aisha did with Bridge and Root. That's what Voltron's been doing. That's what you've done. Like it's been based around like community building and giving back and staying tapped into who's around you. Like that is really, I think, a key factor. Before we move on to some questions from the audience, is there one like last like nugget of wisdom that you would share about being in fashion? Like what's something that I didn't prepare this question. I'm just going to tell you. I'm just sort of like off the cuff here. Raymond's looking at me like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's something that you wish someone had told you when you were getting started? Y'all have all had incredible mentors coming up through the business, right? But what's one thing that like you wish someone had told you sooner when you were younger? Because we got a lot of younger people in this room. Go for it, Olivia.
Start now. I feel like people feel like you have to have all these pieces and all these things and all this money. No, like honestly, when you start today, you're a step closer to getting to tomorrow. And each day you learn something. I feel like the best lesson is going through it. And I feel like some people, they want instant gratification. They want things to happen instantly. And that's just not how it works. Like you have to stick to it. It's going to get hard, but do not give up. Like,
So take action.
take action.
Absolutely. Closed mouths don't get fed.
I
That's one of my favorite sayings, by the way.
No, I got a billboard in Times Square because I opened my mouth. Like, you have to let the people know. One time I was in the elevator with Tommy Hilfiger. He was like, I love your dress. And I made it. And you know what I said? Thank you. What? I said, I'm the designer. I would love to intern for you. And I was like, but you got to take your moment. You know what I mean? Step out on faith. Don't be scared. They're just humans. So, yeah.
Facts. How about you, Raymond?
Enjoy the ride. You know, that's something that nobody told me. Like, yeah, we talk about the bad and the good, but fashion is fun. We wouldn't be up here I wouldn't be in this game 30 years if I met a lot of amazing people. I had a lot of fun making clothes, but also while having fun, I lost a lot of money making clothes. So if somebody would have told me, and it's a marathon. I've been doing this since I was 15. So it's not a sprint. So I say enjoy it, have fun, and never say I don't use the word failure. Just say, hey man, it didn't work at this time. Remove that from your vocabulary. You have not failed. Just like Olivia said, start now. If you start and you ain't failing, you doing. So enjoy the ride, enjoy the little wins, enjoy the big wins, enjoy when it doesn't work, have the same type of energy. And that, because fashion is a true roller coaster.
I would say be confident and be fearless because success is on the other side of that fear. If you let fear cripple you, it will immobilize you. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak to people. Don't be afraid to make that first move. Don't be afraid to make that first call to that brand that you really want to get with or send that email, because I will tell y'all this. If you haven't been in a brick and mortar for at least 2 years, most, if not all, but I'll just say most brands will not come into your store. Okay. Especially the higher end ones, they will not. So you have to be confident and speak to what you know and make them a believer.
Y'all, like, I mean, that is all spot on. Like, you got to be confident. You got to stick with it. You got to take action. You can't operate in fear. Like one step leads to the next step. You can't wait. It's almost like I tell, like I meet with young songwriters and I'm like, just grab your guitar every day. It may be a terrible song, but you don't know what's going to happen if you don't grab the guitar. Like like sometimes just waiting on an inspiration or waiting on the moment to do a business, you got to take it. And now I realize I have one other question though before we take, like if there was manufacturing in Alabama, right? Look, I have this big dream to bring manufacturing back to Alabama. Like, would you want to work with like a knitwear company for products? What would you look for in manufacturing in Alabama if we could bring it back here? What would you like to see?
Good quality and low minimums, and I'm there.
Low minimums, key, because some minimums at some factories are crazy. 1,200 units
I'm
per
not
style,
saying-
per color. Come on. What about you, Raymond?
I think I'm gonna piggyback what Olivia said because if it comes back here, it's gonna be a lot of fresh new brands. So they're gonna want good quality and low minimums. I think that's what everybody wants who start in fashion. You want good quality. You want them to understand when you tech pack in your clothes. You want them to understand functionality of what you're trying to do, and you want them to see your vision. That a good manufacturer is like a spouse. That's basically what you're building. It's like this person needs to be on a wavelength because it used to be a company called 12 Ounce out of Canada. They manufactured 95% of streetwear, and they did it at a very great level because they had synergy. They loved the people that they worked with. So if it came to Alabama, I want them to love the creatives that they're going to work with because that's going to make dope fashion.
I'm going to also piggyback. Quality is so important. That's what keeps people coming back. When you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, at some point you will have people start calling you. Hey, can you carry my stuff? Hey, I want to send you these pieces and please, let your people try them on. Oh, you don't have to pay, they won't, you don't have to pay for them and all this kind of stuff. But if they send it to you and the quality is subpar, what's your address so I can send it back? And that happens. They'll send you I literally got a box of stuff that was like terrible, but quality is so important because that's what keeps people coming back. If they're going to spend that type of money, they want to make sure it's lasting.
Absolutely. And I'll give one last story, then we'll take some questions. I know a man that's an editor of an international publication walked into a boutique that is all over the country and asked the manager, he said, "How is that private equity money treating y'all?" And the manager looked shocked and looked at this guy like, "Why are you asking that question? And how do you know that?" And he said, he was like, "I can see it on every garment that you're carrying now. The same prices, but to grow and scale, they shifted to cheaper factories." And look, there's great factories all over the world. Like just because something's US made does not mean it's quality. There is phenomenal manufacturing in Vietnam, China, India, all over the place. It's about who has the machinery, who has the talent, who has the skill and the training. But like quality, people come back for. They stick with it. Thank y'all so much for answering all these questions. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, I hope y'all will ask some questions. I see some familiar faces in this audience, so don't be shy. Hold on. Do we have a microphone to share? All right, right here. Come on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nigel Bowler. I just had like 2 questions, maybe 3, but really just 2. How do you envision the relationship between fashion and culture evolving in the next decade? And the second question is, how do you approach the challenge of balancing creativity with commercial viability in your designs?
I think in the next decade, it's gonna do what it always do because the people dictate the fashion. I think when I like Olivia and Aisha said right here, it's like we watch people. I mean, people, you watch them, they're gonna dictate it. I think with the emergence of social media, I could sit online and see 10. I could be all around the world. We used to have to fly to places to see other fashion. And then what was the other question you asked?
How do you approach the challenge of balancing creativity with commercial viability in your designs?
I don't want nothing commercial. I do me. Cause if it's dope, they gonna come get me. Like I'm one of those designers. I don't care about people jacking my stuff. People jack my stuff for years. I could go on anybody's page, they jack some of my designs. I don't care. So I'm gonna keep just making dope clothes because my creativity don't stop. So
I love
I
that.
mean, but other people, they want that. They want, they want to be on famous people. I have no qualms about giving clothes to famous, but they don't buy nothing. They don't buy. I know I got a telephone full of famous cats that never bought a T-shirt, but I can send them a shirt. They'd be like, "Oh man, it's dope." So at the end of the day, I just
And
want to make dope, beautiful clothes.
Sometimes they don't even produce fruit. Like you could get somebody off the street, your homegirl, and 10 people stop them, you got 10 sales. Then you put it on a celebrity and it's like, oh, it's ball.
And that's staying connected to culture. Like, you know what I mean? That's staying like, and sometimes that even applies to influencers. Like we tried one time with an influencer, nothing. You give it away to people, like people that are just friends that believe in it and connect to it because you're making dope stuff, like you're saying.
I got more
That's your
sales
best marketing.
from a bum. I gave a homeless dude a T-shirt, and everybody was like, "Hey man, I seen that homeless cat rocking your shirt. I'm gonna come buy one." So at the end of the day, it's all about the energy to feel.
You know what I was going to say to your first question? I feel like people are finding themselves more. And so I almost feel like fashion connected to culture allows people to kind of like express themselves more. You know what I mean? Kind of like,
To connect to more of who they are.
yes.
Yeah.
And because I feel like for a long time, people wanted to stay within this space because they were fearful of what other people would think of them. And, oh, well, look at what she has on. But now I feel like people are being more creative with what they wear, and they're more comfortable and less afraid to step outside the box. Does that make sense? Kind of like, so I feel like in about 10, like people are more comfortable like wearing afros and like their natural hair and just, empowerment pieces and bold colors. And so I would say, within about 10 years, I feel like it's going to be more of that. That's kind of what I think.
I love that. Do you feel like that kind of started in the pandemic? Like more people just started leaning into who they are,
I think so.
and forget all this.
Yeah.
Like, we got to be in this lane, or you're this age, you got to wear this, or you work here. It's like all bets are off.
And to your point, if you remember what happened during the pandemic was also during George Floyd riots.
Yep.
And so during that time, it's also like, man, F these people.
Yep.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna wear what I want to wear,
Yeah.
and it kind of like pushed more of a, I'm who I am and I'm proud of who I am and I'm gonna wear, what I want to wear, connected to that kind of.
Yeah.
I also feel like people are buying into people's story.
Yes, definitely.
So, like if you show them your journey, they're like, oh, they are working hard. I love what they're doing. I vibe with them. I'm gonna wear that before I go wear like a whole bunch of name brands.
Yeah. Like I will say storytelling. I told a business recently to quit trying to sell stuff. I was like, no one cares about the product. Like they want to connect to you. They want to connect to your story. Like, and y'all are all have mentioned that today. Well, who else has a question? Sweet. We'll bring it over here in the back. We'll work our way up towards the front, or go ahead.
How y'all doing? My name is RJ. So a question that I have for you guys, even you, DeKet, is how do you individually deal with creative blocks?
How do you individually deal? How do you deal with creative blocks?
I'm gonna tell you a secret. A good friend of mine named W, he got the art show Art Beats and Lyric, the traveling art show. And one night I couldn't design anything. Like I had a really bad creative block. And he was like, man, go and look at things you like and just start remixing it. Like if it's a shirt, if you like Off-White, go to him and just start remixing his whole brand. Just say, okay, if I designed this shirt, how would it look? Go to any brand that you like, and that helps you get your creative energy, get your creative juices flowing. Just start looking at stuff. Anything you want to be, just look at it and say, if I made those pants, how would I design it? Even if you draw the pants the same way, it's going to start helping, because once you start, then your brain is going to be like, I'm going to change these pockets. I'm going to change this wash. I'm going to change this T-shirt. I'm not going to say that I'm going to add an angel instead of putting a tiger on it. And then boom. And giving me that little tidbit helps me so much. Just bang out designs now.
First of all, you are so fly.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Like clean. For me, because it's like 90s inspired, I'm watching Martin, I'm watching Different World, I'm watching all, because history, fashion is history and it repeats itself. Like, we're always going to be in a circle. So, like what he was saying, like, make your own twist on it. But I love going into the archive and like doing like study history of that. So, yeah.
Well, for me, because my brain, I just realized I haven't been diagnosed, but I think I have ADD or something because my brain never, ever, ever stops. And so for me, I have to unplug, right? Because I am just a creative in my soul or something. And I always am moving and thinking. And so I have to like literally like just stop. Okay. Take a shower, long hot shower, and just stop. I put my stuff aside. Like, it's to the point where my brain moves so much that I used to put a notepad in the shower for real. Like, because it's so important for you to write down your thoughts, because if you don't write them down, you'll forget them. And so I have like really good ideas, and so that I don't forget them, I write them down, right, in that moment. But sometimes that can get a little bit overwhelming, because that's all you think about is like creating things and creating this and creating that. And so I have to like personally unplug. Now, it is very important also that you recognize that you have to be inspired by certain things, and certain things that you see like in a magazine. Oh, I like that color combo. Or it can be something totally unrelated to what you're doing. It can be like a room in Home and Garden, and you can see like this orange and this turquoise, like, oh, that would be dope on this dude that I'm trying to like style. That's the look I'm going for, but it's kind of like a couple of things for me. I unplug, and then I stay open to being inspired by whatever's around me.
Yeah, I think taking action like creates creativity, right? Like you can find inspiration all over the place, and don't always look in the same lane. Like, that is really good. Like, I find inspiration from chefs. I find inspiration from people building restaurants, like people, architects, just all over the place. There's inspiration everywhere. But I truly just try to show up. It's like I said, grab a guitar, right? If it comes to like something with on the fashion side, I do walk and talks. I use technology now. And I can get stuck in a thing like I used to say, where I'm like constantly wanting to output stuff. But if I sit back when there's a block, nothing's going to happen. You're going to keep a block. You like the energy follows action is what I believe. And so, yeah, just show up and start doing stuff. But grab your phone. If you got an iPhone or an Android or whatever, and it's got a note-taking app and it can record your voice, go on a walk and just talk into it and talk out all your ideas and start like looking around. Right here.
My first question is, do you know what fast fashion is? So my sort of question is, how do you think fast fashion affects new and more seasoned fashion designers, and how harmful do you think it is to fashion itself? And then my third question is, how do you think fashion is a lot more connected to politics than we think?
Ooh, some deep questions from the youth. I love it.
I'm a part of CFDA in New York, which is a fashion council.
Yep.
And I'm around a lot of designers, and fast fashion is killing us slowly but surely. It's really hurting the community. Also, like the culture right now of like influencers going to the shows, and like it's just like fashion is on its side right now. Like, so I do feel like it is creeping, but it can only last so. I feel like
it's bad. Look, I mean, fast fashion. Like, if we want to dig in this for I don't know how much time we have. But there's like fast fashion is brutal for the environment, for small companies, for mom and pop shops, for brand owners. It's one of the worst things to ever happen. You get like, I'll get on a soapbox about this stuff, but like they're literally right now, I can go to Bangkok, right? And there are warehouses, massive warehouses, stacked, compressed clothes in bales. I can buy so much unworn vintage clothing, it would make your head spin. never worn, mass produced. And now people are going out, the people that are in the resale market, they're going to thrift stores. They can't even find true vintage or quality pieces because now thrift stores are becoming just fast fashion, cheap stuff. It doesn't last. It's terrible for the environment. It's quick profit. And then the labor factor, the people that are like not being paid in these factories that are making it, like I used to get on to people that would come in that are social justice warriors, but they're wearing clothes made by slaves in other countries. Right? Think about it. Like you got to wear clothes, right? Not everybody can afford to go buy like something that's made by your neighbor because it's more expensive. But let's be consciously aware of what it is doing and what it truly means. You cannot hide from that. It exists and it's terrible. But I think we're reaching a tipping point. People are fed up with it.
Yeah, I feel like as new designers, upcycling is your best choice. Like, take something like I did a whole collection with my dad's blazers and just cropped them and like just try to get creative so you don't be a part of the crop.
Yeah, there's a ton out there you can reuse.
Hello, my name is Malika Freeman, and I'm from Birmingham, up the road. So I did have a question when it came to like your systems and tools and like what helped you track your inventory. So the question is, what systems or tools helped you track inventory, orders, and customer data when you were starting out, and how does that help as you continue building?
Well, now people use Shopify. I mean, that's basically the number one thing. But back when I started, I don't even know.
Writing it down on a piece of paper.
Writing it down on paper or going to QuickBooks, losing money.
Look, it's constantly evolving. Y'all mind if I touch on this? It's like constantly evolving. But even Shopify, since it started now, the amount of data, because Shopify wants everyone to stay within their zone, right? At one point, Shopify even bought a company that was a competitor to MailChimp out of Canada. And or MailChimp bought a competitor because they're all like trying to control who has what data, right? But in Shopify, the reports you can get are insanely robust. You can track cost per goods. So you know how much each thing is costing. You can sync inventory between your brick and mortar and your online. You can even sell inventory. They have the Shopify cooperative where like other people can like sell your stuff like on their website and you're the one shipping it. You can track everything through Shopify. And then if you get into like connecting outside of analytics, and we didn't even tap on AI today because that's a whole deeper conversation, but the tools through AI to track your metrics and see where things are shifting and going, from your bookkeeping for forecasting to what people are buying the most. But you can look at all that stuff and say, well, I ordered this, but I only sold 5, but I sold 40 of this. So maybe we'll keep carrying that. It can really guide, but it all exists within it. Shopify is the best if you're doing e-commerce and retail. It really, really is.
Hey, so I'll stand up because I want to do a plug. Shameless at that. So good afternoon. My name is Daniel Greer. I'm a fashion designer with Splash by DKG. I also run Magic City Fashion Week here locally, which all of y'all should tap in with because it'd be a great resource for you. But I want to shout you out because this is so dope that you created this and established this, Alicia. So that's what's up. And shout out to y'all. Y'all are dope. I think y'all should get him another hand too, by the way. So I have about 5 questions, but for the sake of time, I think I'm going to limit to the one. I would be very curious because I know it would be very beneficial to the audience here as well. How have you specifically, because I want to hear some of your Birmingham journey in there, but how specifically have y'all built community around your brands here locally?
So I'll start. So you always want to, you are your brand, first of all, okay? You are your brand. Your brand should not come before you. So if you want to branch out and do something else, people believe in you because you are your brand, okay? So when you're out, make sure you are carrying yourself the way you need to carry yourself, okay? What you post, make sure you're posting what you need to post and nothing crazy. I am hugely dedicated to the advancement and wellness of children. I sit on, if you can get on like boards, that's my passion, children, of course, as well as fashion. But you know, if you can sit on boards and connect where you can connect, and again, this goes back to networking, being lending your time and your efforts, okay, to what moves you and what you are passionate about. Don't just say, you know, I love kids, and you ain't doing nothing with the kids. If that's something that you want to do, connect with that in some form or fashion. Don't just talk about it, be about it.
I think at Voltron, I do it. I think now my store is my ministry. Like if a comedian comes in and be like, hey man, you know, Birmingham ain't it's no platform for us. I got a comedy show starting. If a bunch of singers come in and be like, hey, we need to start doing open mics.
You got one tonight.
I got an open mic tonight. So that's the way I build my communities. Like doing Legacy Thread with the Negro Southern League. I wanted to give more eyes on Black baseball players. I'm doing a hat drop with Alicia Coffey because if I ask a lot of young kids, they don't even know who A.G. Gaston is. I'd be like, do you know who A.G. Gaston is? They're like, no. A.G. Gaston was one of you guys' multi-millionaires that helped spawn the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King. So that's the way that I stay really 10 toes down, or something cliche-ish, my boots on the ground.
Yep.
That's the way I keep my boots on the ground. I listen to the customer. I listen to the people. And since I have a brick and mortar, I could do something because I don't want to just see all these problems. I want to be a solver of them.
I love that.
Well, you know, being born and raised in Birmingham is just in my blood. So everywhere, if I'm in New York, if I'm in LA, I'm always talking, I'm always ripping. But when I moved back, I was like, okay, I'm coming back to Birmingham. Anybody asked me if I was moving back to Birmingham when I was in New York, I was like, no, I'm not. But the pandemic happened and it shifted me here. And I'm so thankful to God that it brought me back home doing pop-ups and like seeing how much the city has grown and is still growing. Being a part of like the cohort, like Create Birmingham, I took classes there because at one point I was just a creative. I wasn't even a business person because I didn't know how to run my back end. I didn't know how to price my numbers correctly. I was just out here in the back and the front of the house. Everybody's like, oh, she's private. And then inside it was struggle buzz. So I feel like because I took a time out and recenter myself, I owe it to Birmingham. I always stay, and I feel like we have a long way to go, but I'm just so proud of my community. So yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, come on.
So Daniel is an awesome designer, and I see you talking. So to your point, so when I did have my brick and mortar, I actually had something called Locals Corner, right? And so this is where local designers and creatives could have their pieces in the shop, and they would be there for either a month or 3 months, simply because I can remember trying to get my T-shirts in spots, and they were like, nah, you can't put your stuff in here, you know, but because I've been there and people don't have that space to do that. You know, I wanted to, of course, again, you have to meet a quality inspection. Okay, you can't just be in here and your stuff is about to fall apart because that still has my name on it. And I brought Daniel up because we actually had a, what did we have there? It was a creatives night out. And so just allowing creatives to come in and do things. And we had a mental health men's forum there, and just staying connected as much as possible.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you're going to get into this and stay connected to your community, I mean, I think that's where you start, you know, like, is make it about your local community first and foremost. One of my biggest advisors was a man that ran and still talk to him to this day. He's run huge record labels. He was a consultant for the Levi's House of Strauss. He was the one that was like, just make it about your community. Don't even do e-commerce. Don't start your own line yet. Build something about community. So when we started, I straight up ripped off an idea from the North Face in the 60s, right? Because the North Face, before they were making their own stuff, they sold outdoor gear, right? Like climbing stuff out in San Francisco, but they were radicals and they wanted to bring everybody together from all walks of life. People, I mean, from like Black Panthers to hippies to Hells Angels, it didn't matter. So they started throwing parties. And that's why I did the parties at Club Duquette. right? To bring people together, to make it about community first. And with the common thread up here with all these panelists is they've all took action, sometimes even before knowing what like you're doing. You show up at a store, you start learning. You like start making stuff before you know how to do the business side of things. You got to take action first. And when they got in there, they created space for people to show up and space for people to exist and space for people to learn and thrive. And they're all trying to give it back to everybody else. So I really appreciate all these phenomenal questions. Thank you, Alicia Loves More and Polaris, for hosting us. Thank you to the panelists. Love y'all. Thank you for this.